Gold does not move randomly. This is the first truth most people never learn. When gold enters a river system, it does not scatter evenly, it does not spread fairly, and it does not reward effort equally. Geological surveys show that over 90% of recoverable placer gold is concentrated in less than 10% of a river system. That means one simple thing. Most people are digging in the right river, but in the wrong place. To understand why, we need to forget tools for a moment and look at physics. Gold is one of the densest materials found in nature. At 19.3 grams per cubic centimeter, it is nearly 7 times heavier than sand and several times heavier than gravel. Because of this weight, gold does not behave like other sediments. When water speeds up, sand moves. Gravel rolls. But gold resists. It sinks, it presses downward. It searches for resistance. This is why two locations in the same stream can produce completely different results. One spot may look perfect, clear water, smooth stones, wide open gravel. Another looks messy, broken rock, dark, awkward flow. Most beginners choose the first. Experienced prospectors choose the second, because gold does not stop where water looks calm. It stops where energy collapses, behind a large boulder, inside a bedrock crack, at the inside curve of a bend where velocity suddenly drops. Here is the mistake almost everyone makes. They believe, if gold passed through here, it must still be here. But rivers are not storage systems. They are transport systems. Gold only stays where it cannot continue moving. That difference between movement and capture is where most success is decided. And once you understand that, you stop asking, where is the gold? You start asking a much more powerful question. Where would gold be forced to stop? If gold does not move randomly, then something must be stopping it. That something is bedrock. Across most gold-producing regions from California to Alaska, from Australia to Africa, the majority of placer gold is found not in loose gravel, but directly on exposed bedrock. Studies from historic mining districts show that over 70% of larger placer gold was recovered from bedrock surfaces or from cracks cut directly into solid rock. This is not coincidence. It is constraint. Bedrock is the first surface in a river system that gold cannot pass through. When flowing water loses energy, lighter material lifts and moves away. Gold does the opposite. It presses downward. When it meets bedrock, movement changes from horizontal to vertical. This is where structure matters. Not all bedrock holds gold. In fact, some of the most visually impressive bedrock holds almost none. Smooth, polished rock often indicates long-term abrasion or glacial movement. Water flows cleanly across it. Gold is nothing to grab onto. The bedrock that matters is damaged, fractured, broken, irregular. Cracks that cut across the direction of flow are especially important. When water encounters these fractures, its velocity drops sharply. Microeddies form. Pressure decreases. Gold reacts instantly. It is pushed downward, forced into the crack, and locked in place. Repeated floods do not remove it. They drive it deeper. This is why experienced prospectors focus their attention on cracks first, not gravel depth. A single productive bedrock rock crack can hold more gold than several meters of clean gravel above it. Here is a detail rarely discussed. Gold does not need to be visible to be present. Many of the richest cracks contain gold that is flattened, compressed, and tightly wedged into the rock. It does not sparkle. It does not move. It waits. There is a reason early miners used crowbars and chisels instead of shovels. They were not chasing gold. They were opening traps. One small case illustrates this clearly. In a well-known placer region, two prospectors worked the same stretch of stream. One focused on gravel bars and found almost nothing. The other ignored the gravel entirely and spent his time cleaning bedrock cracks. By the end of the day, nearly all recoverable gold came from less than 1 square meter of rock. The difference was not effort. It was structure. Bedrock does not create gold, but it decides where gold must remain. And once you understand that, maps become secondary, because gold does not obey location. It obeys resistance. Gold rarely travels alone. When it moves through a river system, it is accompanied by materials that behave in a similar way under gravity. These materials do not create gold, but they reveal where gold is likely to gather. The most well-known of these is black sand. Black sand is composed primarily of heavy minerals such as magnetite and hematite. While not valuable on their own, they share one critical trait with gold: density. In controlled sampling across multiple placer districts, Areas with visible black sand have been shown to produce 3 to 10 times more fine gold than areas without it. This does not mean black sand equals gold. It means the system is capable of trapping heavy material. Where black sand settles, gold can settle too. Another overlooked indicator is clay. Clay behaves very differently from sand or gravel. It compacts, it seals, and when it forms directly on bedrock, it creates one of the most effective natural traps in a river. During high-energy flow events, gold can be forced through gravel and pressed into fractures below. When water energy drops, fine clay settles last, forming a tight layer that seals the crack. Once gold passes beneath this layer, it becomes extremely difficult to remove. This is why some cracks continue to produce gold long after surrounding areas are depleted. Quartz is another companion often misunderstood. Quartz alone means nothing. White quartz scattered on the surface does not guarantee gold. But broken, angular quartz, especially when associated with iron staining or sulfide alteration, tells a different story. Indicates past geological stress. Stress creates fractures. Fractures create pathways. And pathways allow gold-bearing fluids to move through rock long before rivers ever existed. Here is a critical distinction. Not every place with quartz holds gold, but nearly all placer gold originated from quartz-bearing systems upstream. Understanding this difference prevents wasted effort. Many beginners chase individual signs in isolation. Black sand alone, quartz alone, clay alone. Experienced prospectors look for convergence. When black sand accumulates above fractured bedrock, sealed by clay with angular quartz nearby, the system begins to speak clearly. Gold does not respond to one signal. It responds to systems, and systems leave patterns. Once you learn to recognize those patterns, your success rate increases dramatically, not because you work harder, but because you stop working blind. One of the most frustrating experiences in gold prospecting is working a place that looks perfect, yet produces nothing. Clear water, gravel bars, smooth, easy digging. Everything feels right, but gold is missing. This happens far more often than most people realize, and the reason is simple. Some locations transport gold very efficiently, but never allow it to settle. Wide open river sections are a prime example. When a river spreads out, water velocity becomes more uniform. Energy does not collapse suddenly, disperses. Gold does not like uniform systems. It requires interruption. In these wide sections, gold continues moving, sometimes for kilometers, without ever stopping long enough to accumulate. Another misleading sign is deep, clean gravel. Many people believe gold must be buried deep, beneath layers of sand and stone. In reality, deep gravel often indicates continuous movement. If material is constantly being reworked, gold rarely has time to settle. This is why digging deeper does not always increase results. Sometimes it decreases them. Smooth, rounded stones tell a similar story. They indicate long-term rolling and abrasion. Water energy has been consistent for a very long time. Consistency polishes rock. It also prevents gold from locking into place. Gold prefers chaos. It favors broken systems, irregular flow, and sudden energy loss. Here is a subtle but critical sign. When gravel transitions abruptly into compacted fines directly above bedrock, it often indicates repeated sorting events. Flood after flood, lighter material is removed, while heavy material presses downward. These locations are not obvious. They do not look dramatic, but they are persistent. This is why some areas produce gold year after year, even after being worked repeatedly. The gold is not replenished. The trap is simply effective. The mistake most people make is trusting appearance over behavior. Gold does not care how a place looks. It responds only to physics. If water can carry gold through a location easily, it will, no matter how beautiful the site appears. Once you understand where gold truly gathers, the way you search must change. This is where many people make another mistake. They try to process too much ground. They dig wide. They dig deep. They chase volume. But gold rewards precision, not scale. Experienced prospectors know that 80% of recoverable gold often comes from less than 20% of the ground worked. Sometimes even less. The most effective method is also the simplest. Testing. Instead of committing hours to one spot, small test pans are taken across key locations. Bedrock cracks. The inside of bends. The downstream side of large boulders. Hard to soft material boundaries. Each test is a question. Can gold stop here? If fine gold appears consistently, even in small amounts, the system is working. If nothing appears after multiple tests, the system is passing gold through. Moving on is not failure. It is efficiency. Here is an important rule most beginners ignore. Never dig before you see gold. Digging without confirmation wastes time, energy, and focus. In many productive sites, a single narrow crack no wider than a hand can produce more gold than an entire gravel bar. This is why controlled effort matters. When working a crack, material should be removed slowly, layer by layer, allowing gravity to do the separation. Aggressive movement loses fine gold. Controlled movement reveals it. Gold does not reward force. It rewards patience. Another overlooked principle is restraint. Just because gold is present does not mean all material should be processed. Some gold-bearing areas are too dispersed. Others are too difficult to access efficiently. The most valuable locations sit at the intersection of concentration and simplicity. Gold that can be recovered using gravity and basic tools retains margin. This principle applies at every scale, from backyard prospecting to industrial mining. The tools change. The logic does not. At this stage, success becomes predictable. Not because gold is abundant, but because the system is understood. And when the system is understood, effort becomes focused, losses decrease, and results become repeatable. By now, one thing should be clear. Gold does not reward effort alone. It rewards understanding. The Earth has been processing gold for millions of years long before the first human ever lifted a pan. Every river bend, every fractured rock, every sealed crack is part of a system that operates without intention, but never without logic. Most people search for gold as if it were hiding. In reality, gold is waiting where it has no choice but to remain. Those places are not random. They are predictable. They follow gravity. They follow resistance. They follow structure. When you learn to recognize these patterns, gold stops being a matter of luck and becomes a matter of positioning. This is why the most successful prospectors do not chase every promising sign. They wait. They observe. They test. They allow the land to reveal its limits. And this lesson extends beyond rivers and stone. Gold has remained valuable for thousands of years not because it is shiny, but because it is difficult to move, difficult to extract, and impossible to fake at scale. It accumulates slowly. It resists change. It rewards patience. In a world driven by speed, noise, and constant movement, gold represents the opposite: stability, constraint. So the next time you stand beside a river, ask yourself this: are you looking for gold, or are you looking for the place where gold cannot escape? Because once you understand that difference, you stop chasing gold. You start predicting it.